Today we want to talk about switching IT companies. If you're a business and you've hired a IT company to manage your network and you're not happy with them, what process do you need to take before switching to another IT company? Um, we actually had this week meeting with someone here locally, and they had been through several IT companies here in the local area. I believe it was like between three and five different companies. The current company, and I'm not gonna tell you their name, but the company that they were with, basically they had a service license agreement with them. They paid them monthly to provide certain services like remote monitoring, antivirus, data backup, that type of service. Basically, um, the person that owns this company reached out to us a couple of weeks ago, and I had a meeting with him, like I said, not that long ago, and I went in and sat down with him and kind of assessed some of the problems that he had, and some of the issues that he had was the company that he currently was with. He has a server, a Windows server for his office, and um, it was shutting down once a week. And when he went to the IT company that was managing his network, um, he needed some help, and they basically wanted to take the server off site to their location in order to diagnose it. Well, that's not the best practice in our opinion. A server obviously can be designed for, you can have a file server, it could be an Active Directory Windows server. You could have multiple employees that run off of this Active Directory, um, amongst other things. So taking it off site for a couple of days, just, most employees or most, uh, you know, company owners are just not going to want to have to do that. So when they reached out to us, they told us this, and they felt that that was an unnecessary thing to have it gone for 2 days. We did take a look at it. I asked a few questions. He said that it was shutting down once a week. I asked him if there was a specific day that it was shutting down, and he told me that it would shut down on Saturday evenings. Um, I then asked him what happens on Saturday evenings. What do they have set up on the server that's running? And he said, well, the backups run on Saturday evening. So what I had told him was, when someone comes to me or to us and says I have a computer that's shutting off, one of the first things that we think of is the computer overheating. Now this server was in a type of utility room with a closed door with no real ventilation. It was warm in that room, and I told him that, under load on Saturday evenings when it's doing the backups, it may be getting to that heat threshold to where the server's actually shutting down to preserve the hardware, which is what they're designed to do. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a real way of cooling that room. You can't put an air conditioner in there because he has no way of venting it to the outside. Even keeping the door open, the server is relatively loud when the fans spin up, especially when it is under load and it's hot. So that's not really a good solution for him. I basically asked him how many employees he had. He stated that he had, I believe, like 5 to 6 employees in this building. Um, after doing kind of network consulting with him, a consultation, you know, I told him that I don't really think that he really needs to have a Windows server, to be quite honest. He showed me the bill of the server. He says he replaces the servers about every 5 years, and the bill was between $4,500 and $5,000. Now, I told him that there's a cheaper solution that probably would work much better for him, and um, I asked him if he would like me to do a quote up for him, and he said yes. So I got my laptop out and I did a quote for our managed services, which is a reoccurring service every month that they pay, and it's kind of like the same thing with this other company. We have monitoring software, antivirus, web protection, data backup, locally data backups, and then cloud backups. Um, we use a particular company for the software that we use. And so we did that quote for him right then and there. It took us about, maybe 15 minutes to do the quote. Send both of the reoccurring quote for the managed services to him in an email, and then send him a quote on hardware, changing out that server for something else. Um, we did walk around and look at the other computers on his network. He had one computer that was his computer that was a Windows 10 computer. The rest of the computers were Windows 7, which he did bring up the fact that, he knows that in January of 2020 that um, Microsoft is not going to be supporting uh, updates for Windows 7, and people are going to need to upgrade to Windows 7 or replace their computers with a Windows 10 operating system. So a lot of choices he needed to make. We feel bad having these conversations with customers because we see the frustration and how much money they spent. He did show me the bill just for this month, what he was billed in excess to the monthly payments he was making to this IT company. And it ended up being hundreds, and I think possibly even into the maybe thousands of dollars for the year. And, a lot of updating software, a lot of just, I don't want to say nickel and dime, but just a lot of stuff that seems like should be covered under maybe the managed services agreement. I told him some of these services that I could see on the invoicing would possibly be covered under our managed services. Um, but his frustration was is that he's gone through several companies and he hasn't been able to find a good fit. He said at one point he had a person that he knew that did IT that did a phenomenal job for him for years, but that person kind of moonlighted as an IT person, and he wanted to move on to kind of bigger and better things. So he ended up going to these other companies and had a lot of issues. So we don't like to badmouth other IT companies. That's why I'm not going to say the name of this company. I I think the company that he's with is a fairly good company. I don't know if this is just some miscommunication or whatnot. But every IT professional has kind of their own niche and their own way of doing things, and some people will work with existing equipment. Some people will want to do what we call like kind of a rip out and replace, where they take all of their existing network equipment out and put new equipment in. um it's kind of a difficult thing for a business owner when they've spent so much money um, on servicing, issues, and then some of the issues are still there, and they feel like they just keep getting, one bill after another, and nothing really gets resolved, or it gets resolved and then there's something else that goes wrong. Our philosophy is, as at AIMR IT Solutions, is, our managed services is a proactive approach. I think a lot of IT companies, it's kind of reactive. They wait for the company that they're dealing with to call them with an issue, and then they come and try and fix it. We're more proactive. We use, the monitoring service that we have. Excuse me. Certain bits of software that we have that will, flag us or notify us if there's a problem, a hardware issue or a software issue. Is Windows on certain PCs not up to date? Is Firefox, is Chrome not up to date? Is certain other software that they have on there not up to date? Office 365. Is there a hardware failure? Is a hard drive going bad in one of the machines? Is one of the machines running slowly or performing slowly? These are the types of things that our software and our team are used to working on. And, it's hard to convey that to a customer that has had bad experiences. And this was kind of the situation that I had with this meeting. Did send the quotes, and he's going to think it over and get back with us. But some of the things that, if you are a business owner, things to think about if you're thinking about switching IT companies to manage your network. Some of the things you want to think of are, what are the reasons of why you want to switch to another IT company? Are you, like this customer, unhappy with the services that you've had? Maybe you're spending too much money. Maybe there isn't the service agreement isn't written out very well. Um, Keeping control of your business's IT services. I mean, unfortunately, we live in a kind of era now that everything is just go, go, go. And a lot of business owners don't have time to, maintain their own, networks or passwords, or they've got other things to worry about, employees and paying out their employees, payroll going out, numerous things. So you want to find someone that you can trust that's going to be able to come in and help you with your IT business and basically make it run smoothly. I mean, we want it so that, you know, it's running so smoothly that you're not calling us with problems, that we're actually contacting you to find out, hey, is everything okay? How is everything running? Um, and we've had some of that success in the past, and I think it's because of the software that we use and the approach that we use with the hardware combined with the software. And then we're very vigilant about contacting our customers to find out how happy they are or what issues that they're having so that we could kind of mitigate them or resolve them for them. And I think just having that transparency of dialogue back and forth builds relations with that company, with that owner or manager. They get a trust and with you, and maybe they learn some things about you on a personal level. It doesn't always have to be business, but they learn to trust you, and I think that bond helps you go on for sometimes years of working with the same IT company or working with the same company. Um, some of the things that we've seen is, some IT companies will do things where they know that, you know, the person that is not really happy with them, maybe moving on to someone else. Well, they have control over your whole network for the most part. They can, they've got passwords and accounts, and they can change passwords, and they can lock you out of your network. And those are the things that you want to be really careful of. You want to ask your IT company that you're dealing with, write down, document what your passwords are, what your accounts are, what your email addresses are, in order to kind of protect yourself in the event that something goes wrong with that IT company. Not saying that there's a bunch of IT companies out there that would lock you out and do something malicious, but it does happen. And you need to protect yourself as a business owner from that. Excuse me. Um, looking at your service license agreement that you have with the IT company that you hired, sit down. If you're an owner of a company or a manager, sit down with them and actually go over that license agreement to find out exactly what it does cover and what it does not cover, so that there is no surprises down the road, months down the road, when they call you for help, and then you're telling them that either it's going to cost money or you're sending them a bill that they didn't think that they were going to have to pay. Everything should be written out. I have a saying in my old profession that if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. And the same, I think, is true in this field in IT. You got to cross your T's and dot your I's, as we always say. And as a company owner, an IT owner, and also with your customers, you want them to, you don't want to have them feel like they're being tricked, or they're getting into some type of license agreement that they don't fully understand. The more documentation you have of explaining how these things, how your company works and how you help your customers out, the better off that you'll be, and the better off that your customer will be, and they'll be happy. They should be happy. When, like I said, there's not that transparency. So, anyways, just wanted to talk a little bit about that experience. We do managed services, like I've said in some of our other videos. Just to recap, some of the services that we do everything from network cabling for computers, security cameras, voice over IP phones. So we do run cables for existing businesses or new businesses or businesses that are moving from one location to another. We also do, we like to do professional jobs as far as putting in network racks. We see a lot of small businesses, even medium-sized businesses, that don't have any type of real network rack. Their computers are laying on the floor, their servers laying on the floor, and their router and switch is on a shelving unit in a utility room, and there's wires everywhere. And then as an IT person, for the first time coming in and trying to help them, you're spending, some hours just trying to figure out what's going on with their network. We like to, especially with new customers, convince them that neatness of a network or a utility rack is essential to being able to maintain, diagnose, and fix issues as they come along. So we like to put network racks in, patch panels, cable everything into the patch panels, make everything look nice and neat, labeling everything so what cable goes to what wall jack on a wall or in an office or a wireless access point, or what computer is connected to this, as well as maintaining all of the devices that are on the network and naming the devices, Brad's laptop or Brad's work iPhone or Android phone. These types of things will help the IT professional in spending a little bit more time in actually making things look neat, documenting things, labeling things. Too many times we run into these businesses and it's a nightmare. Like, nothing's labeled. We're having to tone out cables because we don't know at a specific wall jack in a wall where that cable runs to the network rack where the router and switch is. So that's all time consuming, and it costs the company that we're dealing with money. And very few times do we actually show up to a company and they have a very neat network. Very few. I would say probably maybe like 15% to 20%, maybe 25% of the time. And that's stretching it, that we actually would see a very well thought out and put together network. So obviously things cost money. Companies are in the business to make money, so they don't like the idea of having to pay money, especially when it comes to networking. We understand this. We've dealt with a lot of customers that, they don't like the idea of spending a lot of money when we come in and recommend what we recommend. Um, we've had companies that have been burned, where they shortcut things, and then all of a sudden, they don't have proper backups of their data. Say their hard drive goes bad or a server goes down, they lose their data, then they're calling us or they're calling another IT professional, and they're frantic because they've lost data. They're losing um, uh, time, and time is money, as I always say. If you lose data or something happens to your network and it goes down or your phones go down, um, you could be losing hundreds to thousands of dollars every hour that you're down, depending on the size of your business and how much revenue you bring in. So those are things that you need to think about. I often tell business owners in the IT world, in networking and whatnot, with computers, you got to look at the expenses of this stuff, like insurance, like health insurance, like car insurance, okay? Obviously we all need to have car insurance because the law says that we need to, especially here in Michigan. And if you run without insurance, everybody says, well, I've never been in an accident. Well, it's not about whether or not someone, you get into an accident and it's your fault. It's a lot of times it's somebody else's fault that hits you. And then when you don't have insurance, you pay for it. It's the same thing in this situation with, not having a network set up right, not having data backups set up right, not being vigilant and knowing whether the backups are completing, what backups you have of what machines, where they're at. Because as soon as something goes wrong, like a hard drive or a server dies and you lose that data, it's like the car, it's like not having car insurance and getting hit by a car. That's basically where you're at. You know that you're in a bad situation and you're going to end up losing a lot of money, and you're going to spend a lot of money to possibly get yourself back up and running again. So, um, you know, I say these things because I hope that people watch these videos, that business owners watch these videos. They kind of, if they haven't had these situations happen to them, maybe they'll listen to some of these things that we talk about and situations we've had with other customers, and it will make them pause and think, like, hey, we don't want this happening to us. So, not that you need to call us and have us, be your IT company or whatnot. Yes, we would love to have any business that you want to throw at us, but really focus on communicating with whatever IT company that you go with, whether it's us or a competitor. It doesn't matter. The best thing for you as an owner is to make sure that what you're paying for, that you understand what you're paying for, that you're getting the right services for your business model. Those are the most important things in our opinion. So, anyways, gonna leave you with that, and it's Friday night, so I hope every one of you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we have new content. Also, if you'd like to know more about us, we have several social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you would like to hire us for any network consulting or IT needs, please head over to amoreitsolutions.com, fill out our contact form, and let us know what we can do to help you out. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for all your support, and we hope to see you in the next video.